So Instagram cut off my live because I believe I was playing a song that could have had copyrights issues. Okay. So I'm gonna just add Tejashri again. So sorry everybody. This is a learning curve for me also. And apparently I can't play songs anymore. I'm so sorry, Tejashri. Apparently because I was playing a song, there was some copyright issue or something close to that.
Are we good now?
Yes, we're good now because I'm not playing the song unless I start singing it, which I won't do. I won't do that to people. Or you should start singing it actually. Okay, so I'm just going to reintroduce you again. So Tejashri is associated with De Beers at the moment, De Beers Group, and she has been part of events such as Le Bal in Paris, which are highly exclusive events, and she has also been part of Rosy Blue before. So these are also market leaders in their field. And thank you so much for being part of this today, Tejashri. Usually, what people don't understand is, culture doesn't have to be restricted to national cultures. It can also be a group of people having the same kind of beliefs, having the same kind of values that they then associate with the products they buy, maybe. And since you're the specialist in luxury retail, I thought you would be the best person to have on the show. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
And
for
if there's anything I've missed out in your introduction, please feel free to add.
So you kind of introduced me quite well with my companies, but what I would like to say is beyond the companies that I work with, these are jewelry luxury retail companies.
Mm-hmm.
However, since I'm a marketer, it's more about not just the product I'm selling, but the whole sentiment of understanding luxury.
Right. Yes. And that's the reason why, the way we are going to actually have these questions or this conversation, I think people are going to then get the understanding of what the sentiment of luxury is, because
Sure,
what
and
that
I would
means.
love if people would have any questions, they could put them down. It'd be so nice to answer.
Yes, please. If y'all have any questions, please add it in the comments, guys. And yes, so just to start off with, Tejasri, what first of all does luxury mean? I was just telling people before I invited you over. Luxury to me has always been a word that's related to something that's expensive, a word that's related to privilege. But I also know that that's not it completely. So, in your expertise, in your experience rather, what do you think luxury stands for?
Um, so for the longest time, luxury was more about things that people couldn't afford. It was more about expensive things that were beyond your income. These were
Hmm.
more aspirational things. But I think with time, the whole definition of luxury has changed. Now, luxury is more about aligning with your values, things that align with my values. The brands that prioritize my sentiments, the brands that understand what I would like, right? So now it's more about what it's not about the place I want to be, or it's not about the product I want to own, but it's about the product that I resonate with most. The
Okay.
company brand pillars I understand the most. So luxury has changed a whole lot. It's no longer the most expensive thing, but it's the most valued thing.
Okay, so what you're saying, it's not aspirational as such anymore?
Luxury will always be aspirational because
Okay.
brands understanding your value system, respecting
Hmm.
your virtues is something that you need to connect with, right? So it will
Yes.
always be aspirational. I am talking in terms of, say, diamonds. Um, Diamonds will always be aspirational, but not just for the value of it, but also to understand. For example, my company, we at De Beers, we promote and instill the fact that diamonds can do good to the world.
Mm-hmm.
We also have certain goals. We call them our 2030 goals, and we aim at being a carbon neutral company. We don't. We avoid single-use plastic. So there is a
Okay.
lot that we do, and for me as a buyer, it would be nice to, um, you know, find a product with a company that aligns with my values.
Okay, so now it's more about the values, and that resonates with me because since I'm an interculturalist, what we look at with a group of people who form a culture is how their values actually align. And so basically, is there a difference that you have noticed with what luxury means to different cultures? And I'm not only saying about, cultures across borders or different countries. I'm sure that there are differences there as well, but also within the country, what luxury would mean to me of a person of the privilege that I have may mean something else to a person who does not have the same privileges that I grew up with. Right? But apart from that, do you have any insights from your experience, from your work, that you see that, okay, what luxury means to this market or this country doesn't mean the same to another country or another culture? Is there a
Of,
difference?
of course, there is.
Yes.
But like I just mentioned, it's a lot more about mindset now
Okay.
than about geography and demographics. But
Okay.
also saying that there is a lot of difference. Now, India as a country is so vast. Now, I'm going to talk just about India. It's going to be different from what a person in the north of India would choose and from what a person from the south of India would choose.
Yes.
For north, you should be able to spot the piece of jewelry from afar. But for somebody in south, you should also be able to see the jewelry, but for the shine that it has or for the quality that it is, it necessarily need not be a bigger piece. So everybody has a different sense of aesthetic. Everybody has a different idea of luxury for themselves. Across borders, also things change. When I talk about a Westerner thinking of luxury, it's going to be very different than what an Indian person thinks of luxury. So
Yes.
yes, cultures bring a lot of difference. One of the examples that I'd like to share here is how, say, bridal jewelry. Bridal jewelry is so different for
Right.
Indian, and if I talk, say, for example, a European. And there are many reasons to it. One of those that I can see and I can talk about is the fact that when we talk bridal, when we talk weddings, they're opulent here in India, right? And one of the main reasons is that an average Indian spends about 1/5 of his lifetime of earnings on a wedding. So that's a huge sum.
No.
Yes, and it's more like it's their goal to an average Indian spends about 1/5 of his or her lifetime earnings on a wedding.
Wow.
And yes, and it's huge. So it's more like you earn all your life for that one wedding of your child, or So
Yes.
that's why if I am going to be judged on my choice of jewelry that I'm wearing. Because that's about my lifetime of earnings. That's about how successful I've been.
Yeah, that's a
So
mark
India,
of success in a way.
correct. So India thinks of bridal jewelry on a very different level. However, for somebody, say from the West, say from Europe, their idea
Yes.
of bridal is a beautiful ring, because that's what
That's it.
matters.
One ring
We have
is enough.
That's it.
Luxury.
That's it. And we have
Yes.
like a 5-day affair and so many jewelries and so many clothes and so many things, and it's opulent, it's big. And for them, it's that one beautiful ring. But now in India, I'm going to sell my collection with just a ring. It's not going to be about bridal. There's so much more that I need to add to my catalog. So,
Right.
of course, cultures think of luxury in a different way. Cultures think of market in a different way. Cultures, because it is all about the way they've been looking at it. It's all with the history.
Right. It's all with the history, definitely. And well, how I then look at it is because India is firstly such a relationship-driven culture, and family and how your family looks to other people matters so much. And it's definitely like marriage is definitely a communion of two individuals, but how it looks to other people and what it means to society matters even much more.
A lot.
And I'm a
Yes, correct.
Shetty. And I know for a fact that in a South Indian wedding, the most expenses actually goes on bridal jewelry. Right? And that would not be the same for a friend that comes from, Germany or France, for example. The priorities are different. And just another fact to add here, there were in many countries also, women are given jewelry and traditionally were given jewelry because those are the assets they could own and then they could sell off if anything went wrong. So that's
That was
probably
more of a
another reason.
technology than
It
just
was
an
more of
ornament.
security. Yes, it was more of a security, and then I can then connect the dots there and see why it becomes so important. So talking about before historically, etc., I also wanted to know, has the idea of luxury then changed with generations? Right? Because I also feel what was luxury to my parents doesn't maybe hold true of what luxury means to me. So even not only my parents or me, not only Gen X, Gen Y, and me, I'm sure there's a kind of a difference between what luxury means to a person who's Gen Z, that's the current generation, and us who are millennials. So are
Hugely,
you
yes.
seeing that difference? Is there a
Of course, of course. So when I talk even about advertising my product,
hmm,
earlier it was more about a point of saving. Jewelry was more about saving, something that we kept in the lockers and didn't wear it as often. But now I'm targeting women who believe in self-purchase. So the
okay?
generation has changed. Their whole idea has changed. Now it's no longer the parents buying jewelry just for the. Of course, that will be a large part of our Indian culture. The parents
Yes,
will buy jewelry for their children,
yes.
but we're talking a lot of women who are into self-purchase. So the
Hmm.
whole idea has changed. Also, the way luxury is looked at. When I talk about the previous generations, it was more aspirational. It was something that they couldn't get, and
Hmm.
now we all think we can achieve so much more. So the generation today thinks of luxury as something that they like, that will be more personal to them
Mm-hmm.
than just the whole functional idea of it being unaffordable, of it being just aspirational. So I think, of course, the
That's
idea.
actually my idea of luxury. I think I still look at luxury as something that's aspirational, but I'm sure it's completely different. And the way I feel Gen Z is kind of looking at purchasing in general. That there's more conscious buying now. So is there more conscious buying in luxury too?
Correct. Like I
Yes.
mentioned, there's a lot now. Most luxury brands that you will see talk about sustainability, right?
Okay.
We've gone through so much in the past 2 years. We all know that, right? And however aspirational a brand, a product, a service, or a place for me would be, I wouldn't want that to harm the others. How much ever pleasure it gives to me, I will still ensure that it will be good to the society. It will do good to the society, right? So, in that manner, I am going to consider something that's more sustainable, something that um, helps the society in various ways, right? Uh, my brand, I speak from personal experience. If we talk about mining diamonds, if it's 1 hectare of mining that we do, there are 5 hectares in return that we develop for the country, right? There's more job opportunities. There's a lot of medical facilities. There's so much more that we do. There's wildlife conservation. So what happens is sustainability becomes a huge part, and not just by the brand values and the pillars, but also, see, for example, packaging. We talk about packaging, right?
Mhm.
We don't want to use plastic anymore. Something like a cosmetic company, where it is essential to have a container, even they start switching to paper, right? Or at least if it's plastic or glass. If it's glass, then after paper, that's an alternative. If it's plastic, then it's not a single use plastic, or it's biodegradable. Or there are various ways. They do mention how you can dispose this off, right? A lot of sustainability at play, and I think luxury and sustainability, I think that's the future. That's the
That is
future.
definitely.
People,
And
yes,
that's the future because we need a future.
we
And also,
need
I
it.
think
Exactly.
that's also a future because that's what is now relatable to this generation, even culturally. Because if they
Correct.
can't resonate to that, if they can't see what that's going to bring to them, not only matter of value for them, but as a communion, as a community also, I think that's a shift I'm definitely seeing. And there's this other thing about luxury that has always ticked me off a bit, and I may be wrong because I'm not keeping up with the trends. Usually, when I would look at luxury brands, it had a very European aesthetic. By
Mm-hmm.
European, I mean predominantly Caucasian or white models. And even aesthetically, I mean, the way the designs were, or way the branding was done, or way the advertising was done. So if I'm looking at, even at least when I was younger, if I was looking at a piece of print ad that was considered luxury, of a luxury brand, it wouldn't be immediately relatable to me. And I think that's the conditioning I still have, and that's why it's still aspirational, maybe, but it wouldn't be relatable. So is it still the same? Because considering the conversations that we are having now about, representation, about inclusion, is it still the same, or is it changing now?
It's changing, and I'll tell you why. When we talk about European aesthetics, earlier that was an aspirational thing for people to see and look up to, something that came from the West, especially for Indians. It's no longer that. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, everybody, every nationality wants to connect, wants a product to connect with them. How is it that I, as a brand, can connect to another person? I need to understand. I need to be relatable, right?
Yeah.
So for me, as an Indian, jewelry again. If I see jewelry on a, say, a Caucasian model, I might not relate to it very well. I would have three thoughts in me thinking, would that look as good on me or not, right?
Yeah.
And now, like I said, excuse me for repeating myself, but like I mentioned, it's so much about things that align with my value system. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when I talk European aesthetics, it's a lot about being subtle. It's more pastel, right? And now, if I am going to try and reach out to my Indian audience for something like a Diwali, I cannot do pastel colors. I cannot keep it subtle because
That's
Diwali is
when subtlety goes
different.
out the window. You can't.
I can't. I need to put
Yeah.
yellow, I need to put orange, I need to make it bright and loud for a person to connect with and for it to look festive. So the aesthetics will now be about the culture that the person can relate with. Like
Mm-hmm.
for a year, it will still be about the Christmas, it will still be about the holiday, and the aesthetics will be in the manner that works or rather connects with them.
Mm-hmm.
However, for Indian, it will still be uh, more bright, more loud, something that I like my weddings are, or like my Diwali is, festivals are, right? Something that I connect to. So now aesthetics are going to be more relatable than just bringing in like a foreign feeling to you.
Yes, and yeah, I understand that, and for it to be relatable to me, it has to look a certain way for sure. But then does that create a friction with respect to then the brand language? Because sometimes the brand language itself, or the way the branding is done, generally for a particular brand, for example, is subtle. Right? And when you're entering into a country like India, where subtlety may not always be the right way to go, and I'm generalizing here. So then, does that create a friction?
It does, because our value system is different, our cultures are different, like we said. But
Yes.
that's the challenge of people like us,
Yes,
who are
and that's
confident.
why.
Yeah, we need to get the balance. We need to not lose our charm of luxury. We need to hold that value and still be like a clean, sharp looking brand, but still connect with a festival. So that is a play that one needs to
That's a
very
balance that you need to. That's how you get paid in a way, just to create that balance also.
correct,
Yes.
correct. I need to look like a luxury, a polished brand, but I still need to connect with every audience. And when I'm talking about every audience, I'm not just talking the HNIs anymore. I am
Mm-hmm.
talking everybody from each part of India.
And
So that
HNI for our audience is high net worth individuals. So these are people who usually have access to the global market, or have traveled, etc. So yes, HNIs right now are not only your target audience, is what you're saying.
yes, because I want to be aspirational, but
Hmm.
I want to still be accessible.
Aspirational but accessible. That's a difficult that's a difficult balance to maintain in a way. Yes. And
It is.
you're talking about aspirational, and you said a lot of people are now going into self purchase, and that to a lot of women. And I'm so happy to hear that. And a lot of women are going into self purchase as well, because I think largely jewelry was gifted to women, either in an Indian context, if I were to speak, then during marriages, that's when they would receive jewelry, or even the engagement ring is actually given by the man to the woman. And largely women have been the target audience for jewelry in general, right? And
Ideally,
now,
women have not been the target audience. Women are the ones who will wear the jewelry, but the target audience have always been the men because they are the ones who are going to get it for them. That was the past, yeah. It was
yeah,
always
those are the people who actually end up buying it for them. But is the spectrum now changing of who is being targeted, especially for a market like jewelry? Is it now then only the person who's going, like in the minds of a marketer, then does it become that is only the woman that I'm going to see as my end consumer, or is that a bit different now?
so it's no longer, so it has always been that way because women were the people who would be most ornamented, right? Men had limited options, but it's no longer the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see men changing jewelry more often, men wearing more pieces of jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, our target audience was men because they bought it for the women. But now our target audience is women who are going to get into self-purchase. And it's no longer about buying it for a wedding or no longer about buying it for an engagement. I would want to mark my birthday with a ring, or I would want to mark a special occasion, or my first salary with a diamond jewelry or a luxurious piece, right? So in that way, my target audience has changed in that manner. But also, when we talk men, men, like I said, have more variety now. They are really getting into a lot of buying for themselves. There's a lot of gender fluidity at play, and now it's no longer about a woman or a man. It's anybody from any sexual orientation.
Yes.
So I
So
think,
there's
yeah,
a cultural shift there for
there is
sure.
huge cultural shift there. It was just women wearing all the ornaments, and now things have changed.
But then that affects the kind of designs that you'll create as well.
Uh, so I think designs are affected at every stage.
Hmm.
Like every with trends, certain things remain classic, and that's how they should be. But
Mm-hmm.
everything changes with trends. What a Gen Z would prefer or a Gen Z would like is so different than what maybe a millennial liked when it's not too long apart, right? So designs are something that change irrespective of demographics or geography. It's a lot that changes with trends anyway. So that's
Okay.
something continuously in progress.
Okay. And I don't know if you know this, and it's just a question that comes to my mind. Is it that Indian men wear more jewelry compared to other markets? Do you have information about that? I'm just wondering.
I wouldn't say that. Uh,
Okay.
I wouldn't say that because so still we have restricted options for men, but
Mhm.
now men have started adorning themselves with so many things. Now, when I talk about diamonds, it's in their watch. Uh, for that matter, it's in their tooth. You know, People started putting
You're
that
finding
into the
other places, new
yeah. So
places to
yeah, so
express.
you find places,
Yeah.
and like I said, after gender fluidity being at play, there are stackable bracelets that men wear. There are watch charms that men can wear. There are cufflinks. There are tie pins. There's so much. So it's
Okay.
not that the options are limited. There's a lot to explore, and I think we're all getting there.
Yeah, we're getting that. And I think it's just so nice that brands are now having that conversation about gender fluidity and not conforming to norms. And the reason why they are having that conversation is because there is a cultural shift. If everything were to stay the same, you would serve the same audience. So yes, it's amazing to see that shift for sure. And yes, before you go, Tejashri, what I do is I ask this one question to every guest who comes. I wanted to know, and because this has become my word, I feel the word is change. But if there is one thing that you would want to change, either within yourself, in your immediate circle of influence, or just change at large, what would you change?
Um, as a person and as a woman, uh, I have been in the corporate culture for a while, and I see a lot of women, a lot of people, but I would speak for my clan. And I think a lot of women don't ask for what they deserve. And that's not right. I think, yeah, all, including me, all of us just don't ask for what we deserve. And how would a person know if you are not going to, who else is going to have confidence in you other than yourself? So I think we need to buckle up. We need to be so confident. We have so much to offer to the world. And so that's one thing that I'd like to change in myself and the world outside. I think we really need to be more demanding, and let's not shy away from being demanding. We can be demanding. We ask for what we deserve.
That's so difficult, but then this is.
I know, let's make that attempt. Let's start that where we all ask for what we deserve. Let's understand that there's so much we have to offer to the world, and we're no less than anybody else. Let's not play the game of experience or gender or where you come from or your financial or social status. It's not about that. I think it's a lot about you as a person, and let's fight for what we deserve. So yeah, that's one thing. Let's demand.
High five for that, Tejashri. Because I think I love that answer because I really suffer with that. It hurts me almost every day because firstly, I seek validation with my work, especially. I need to be validated, especially from people who are very important to me, even if they don't understand my work. So seeking validation from them just becomes useless there in itself. And yes, and secondly, I still have imposter syndrome in various aspects of my life. And because I'm doing so much different kinds of work, so I feel imposter syndrome in every little pocket of work that I'm doing. And I think, having women like you around who push that, and that's a lot of what your content on social media is also. It's about pushing your limits. It's not only pushing your limits till you break, but pushing at least the barriers, till you get what you want. And that's really inspiring. So thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. And thank you so much for being here on Intercultural Conversations.
I hope that whatever I shared benefits some of our viewers, and there's so much more to know about the luxury market. And if there are any questions, I wouldn't call myself an expert, but if there are any questions and you think I could help, I'll be around.
That's amazing. And you could also share your social media handle or anywhere else that people can follow you if you want.
I think from the invite, people can reach out to my social media handle. There's a lot of content that I share on the corporate work-life balance, a lot of corporate culture, a lot of going out there and, fighting for yourself and breaking the glass ceiling and breaking the boundaries and just doing everything that doesn't confine you to right or wrong, but that you feel you should do. So there's a lot of corporate.
Did we lose Tejashri or is it my internet? I think we lost Tejashri there because I can see some people commenting and liking. So thank you everybody for joining in. And I'm going to come back with more episodes as well. Hopefully this conversation about luxury was equally informative for you because, like I had mentioned before, the concept of luxury is very confusing to me. But I think I have more clarity now, and I hope you all have too. And I will see you all next week with another interesting guest. Thank you. Bye. Thanks for joining in.